and I still copyright. I'm my biggest client. I design stuff for myself. So I haven't stopped doing any of the skills that you've known me to do, like my filmmaking and stuff. I still do that, but I do it. It's confined now to the product, the product that is coming with in terms of comedy, because the comedy is very demanding in terms of what it requires of me. So I tend to do most of that work just for myself at the moment. Yes, sir.
Mine is a comment and also a question. First, I would like to really say thank you and for the good work you're doing, and being a trailblazer for upcoming young comics. It's not because you got some free cheese and champagne. I'm being very honest. I really think you're doing a great job, and I wish you all the success that you really deserve beyond our borders in the future. And thank you. You mentioned that time that you went to Botswana and how down you were for some time. Do you tell us what happened afterwards in the book, or do you want to tell us now?
Okay. Basically, what happened, and this is going to be something that's very interesting for anyone out there who's going through something really difficult. I mean, like right now, personally, I am going through a very difficult phase in my life, and this is kind of therapy for me. One of the things that helped in Botswana was trying to break the norms of how we perceive the world. In terms of, most of us are afraid to do stuff because we're afraid of the worst case scenario. You're afraid of being chucked out of your house. You're afraid of the electricity being cut. You're afraid of the papers writing about you being broke or whatever it is. But I lived my worst case scenario. I didn't have a place to stay. But because I didn't have a place to stay, my mind opened up to a lot of possibilities. We walked to a company, kind of like, say, Book Cafe, for instance. They've got the office at the back. And we went to them and we said, listen, you guys have an office and you guys normally pay security. Now, is it possible, because Rufaro was also like homeless with us in Botswana. It's a group of eight of us who were like homeless. And what we said is, can we use your office from 6 to 6 in the evening until 6 in the morning? And we can do our own design work, but we'll also do your design work. So that by the time you come in the morning, most of your work will be done. But you also have someone there doing security. So we pitched to them that particular concept. We didn't want money from them. They gave us their office, so at least we had some place to work at night. Now you can appreciate that Botswana is a very hot place. So working at night is a more efficient thing to do. And besides, during the day, lots of people call you, which disturbs your workflow. So it was easier for us to do work during the night, sorry. Then during the day, there was another lady from church who was complaining about the fact that she couldn't find a maid. And she needed help finding a maid. So what we proposed to her is that we said, Rufaro and I and a couple of guys, we can come and clean your house if you allow us to sleep 3 hours a day. And we'll cook for you, we'll do whatever. So that by the time you come back from work, your house will be clean, you'll have a meal, but all we need from you is to allow us to sleep 3 hours in your house. We'll sleep on the floor, and please take us to the office where we have to work at night. And we literally did that this whole 40-day period. This is why I was able to post these notes on Facebook over that 40-day period. But I promise you, right at the end of the 40-day period, we scored some big contract with an ad agency and were able to move into a nice, like, 3-bedroom house. What else sells furniture and whatever it is, and like everything was okay at the end of it. So like there is a happy ending to it. To that particular story. But it completely changed how I looked at things. Because when I came back to Zimbabwe, people would complain about stuff and say, hey, there's no NGO funding, or there's no funding for this. My line of thinking was like, listen, I've got hands, I've got a computer, I can, I will prove, I will demonstrate, especially like with my comedy. We're not going to get any sponsors. So I will demonstrate that I can develop a fan base of my own that will attract the right corporate sponsors. And that's pretty much what we did here. It's literally demonstrate by having the market, and then everyone else then responded to the fact that we had a market. So those were kind of the lessons that we had from Botswana. Oh. Okay, cool.
Now then. One thing that a lot of people don't do, it's something I'll commend you for, but I'll ask you a question about. you share a lot. A lot of people want to, how they got, where they went to, got to, and so forth. It's like, state secret and that sort of thing. What is the reason behind you sharing so much about your own life and putting yourself all out there for scrutiny or for encouragement and that sort of thing?
If you control your information, then people don't distort it. So the more honest you are, the harder it is for someone to distort truth. So if you hide truth, it's always going to create rumors, suspicion, hearsay. But if you post it first, if I tell you that I've been homeless, if I tell you I'm broke, if I tell you things are not working, it's pointless for a reporter to write about something I've already preempted. I've already shared it. I will give you my worst case scenario. If there was no one at my show, I will tell you first. I won't wait for a reporter to tell, because there's no reason for me to hide that information. People have shows that don't have people all the time. It happens. I'm not the first person to bomb at a show, which is why I shared the fact that I went and performed in Abuja and no one laughed. Because I don't want someone else to then say that information on my behalf, because it will come with different motives. It will come with a different context. So I try as much as possible to be as honest as possible. But also, having said that, there's a lot of aspects to my life that are private. But when it comes to things that directly affect my work, I try to make sure that I share that information so that people know it. They can be empowered to understand where I'm going. I don't make lies and tell people that I'm the best there is. I tell people that I'm trying to be the best I can be. And that people will root for that. People will support it. Like if the Warriors came out and said, guys, we're just going to try. We're going to try our best. Instead of trying to hide it, people wouldn't be as angry with the Warriors. if they came out and they just told us the truth, we wouldn't be as pissed off with them. So that's one thing that we have to learn in Zimbabwe, is to not try and... I think we've learned a lot of bad lessons from government not wanting to share as much information, that we feel we always need to hide things because... But that's how you get scandal. You get scandal because you hide information. But someone feels they have the juice. But what if you start your own rumors? If you tell them the truth and spread it, they've got nothing to talk about. Sorry, Steph.
Larry kind of stole my catching up from what he said.
All right, thank you. Catching up from what Larry said there, do you ever feel pressure to just tell the story that you think people need to hear? I mean, you're talking about being honest and owning your own information, and it's about telling your own story. But do you ever feel pressure? I mean, Zimbabwe's celebrity culture is growing slowly, but it's growing nonetheless.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel the need, sometimes this pressure to actually live up to the expectations that people would actually have in their minds of, oh, he's a big comedian, so he's supposed to live like this. He's supposed to be telling this kind of story.
No, I like to keep it real. Listen, I'm in Zimbabwe, I don't own a car. Comedy doesn't make as much money as my fellow comics. Like I was looking online at some of the comics, friends of mine that I performed with in South Africa. I performed the same gigs as them. They bought cars from the same gig. I took my wife out to dinner. I have to be honest, that's the state that the economy is in. I'm not going to lie about it. If I was in South Africa, I'd be doing a lot better as a comic than I would be in Zimbabwe. But I have as a responsibility to push the agenda of Zimbabwe, because things will get better. And I'm not going to just jump ship just because, So it's important to be honest about where you're at, because I find a lot of people are willing to help you when they know what your deficit is. If you try and pretend, like if I started talking about being in a Benz and what I teach this in social media workshops. Identity is much cheaper than image. If you try and put off an image, it's really expensive. Like a lot of our rappers and urban groovers in Zimbabwe have a tough life, guys. Like, listen, singing about being in a Bentley and jumping into a combi is hard. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I talk about being in a combi. I take a public bus to Kariba and I say it on Facebook. I don't have to pretend in case I bump into a fan, we take a selfie and I'm on Pioneer. It's okay. Do you know what I'm saying? But imagine if that happened and I'd been lying and maybe renting a car or borrowing a friend's car. How embarrassing that would be when it hits the press that, car when you were, I'm not gonna marry. But I didn't marry. Do you know what I'm saying? I'll be honest with you on that. I'm doing very well as a comic, but the money doesn't equate to what's happening in South Africa or in Kenya or in Zambia. And I'll be honest about that. And once things change, you will see a change in the art sector. But I'm not going to pretend. And that's what's allowed me to be in that space where a lot of people don't occupy, is the fact that maybe I'm the only person who's willing to say when I get sick, yeah, and I'm okay saying that because I don't want to lie about it. Do you know what I'm saying? Because what if someone then sees me partying and then they start spreading rumors about me having a condition I don't have? You know, so it's better to tell people the truth. But my life is too eventful anyway to try and make up stories. A lot of funny stuff happens in my life anyway. It's like, it feels like fiction. Like you read the book, it feels like fiction. But that's, my life is like that. It's drama. So, I'll take one more question and then we can just like mingle and finish. I think there's still stuff to finish there. Yeah. So.